Breaking. Your soulmate's biggest secret about you was finally revealed. My beloved child, before another thought crosses your mind, stay here for a moment, because something hidden for far too long has finally reached the surface. This is not the kind of secret that appears with loud announcements or dramatic signs. It arrives quietly, almost unnoticed, until one single truth changes the way everything looks. Imagine discovering that the person who has occupied your thoughts has been carrying something about you that no one else truly understood. Not because they wanted to deceive the world, but because they were protecting a feeling they could never explain. Listen closely. Every sentence from this moment forward is another piece of a puzzle that has waited for exactly the right time to be completed. And what if this very moment becomes the turning point you never expected? There are stories people tell, and then there are stories they hide even from themselves. Your soulmate has lived inside both worlds. On the outside, they appeared calm, composed, and certain. Yet behind every ordinary conversation, every quiet smile, and every unexpected silence, another reality existed. A reality connected to you. They convinced themselves that if nobody knew what they truly felt, those feelings would become easier to control. But emotions do not disappear simply because they are hidden. They grow stronger in silence. They become impossible to ignore. For a long time, they believed the greatest secret they possessed was their affection. They were wrong. The greatest secret was never that they cared. The greatest secret was why they cared so deeply. Even they struggled to understand it. Every attempt to explain your connection ended with the same unanswered question echoing inside their heart. Why does this person feel so familiar? That question never stopped following them. Stay a little longer, because the next piece changes everything. There came a moment when someone close to them noticed the difference. It wasn't a dramatic confrontation. It wasn't an argument. It was something much quieter. A single observation. A simple sentence. You become a different person whenever their name comes up. Those words settled into the room like a ripple across still water. Your soulmate laughed at first. They tried to dismiss it. But the silence that followed revealed more than any explanation ever could. Suddenly they realized something they had avoided for longer than they wished to admit. They weren't hiding their emotions from other people anymore. They were hiding them from themselves. That realization opened a door. Behind that door lived memories they had buried beneath responsibilities, distractions, and everyday routines. Small moments returned unexpectedly. A conversation they couldn't forget. A smile that stayed with them longer than logic could explain. An ordinary encounter that somehow never felt ordinary at all. One memory connected effortlessly to another until an invisible pattern became impossible to ignore. The strange part wasn't how many memories existed. The strange part was that every meaningful memory somehow led back to you. Pause for just a second and ask yourself this. What if someone's heart remembers something before their mind understands it? That possibility changed everything for them. Instead of resisting those thoughts, they finally allowed themselves to explore them. And with every honest reflection, another layer disappeared. They realized they had spent so much energy pretending to move on that they never noticed they had never truly moved away at all. The secret continued growing. It wasn't simply admiration. It wasn't temporary curiosity. It wasn't coincidence. It became something much deeper, something impossible to replace with anyone else. But here is where the story takes an unexpected direction. Your soulmate never intended for this hidden truth to reach another person. They believed it would remain safely locked inside forever. Yet life has a remarkable way of revealing what is ready to be seen. Sometimes the strongest secrets escape not through words, but through actions. Someone observed the pattern. Someone connected the dots. Someone finally asked the question your soulmate could no longer avoid. And for the first time, they didn't deny it. They simply looked down, smiled quietly, and allowed the silence to answer. That silence revealed more than 1,000 explanations ever could. Wait until the next chapter, because the moment that followed this quiet confession uncovered the biggest secret of all. A truth your soulmate had protected for longer than anyone realized, and once it was spoken aloud, nothing around them looked the same again. A quiet truth has extraordinary power, and what happened after that silent confession was something no one in the room expected. Stay with this story, because the next few moments reveal why your soulmate guarded this secret for so long. At first, no one spoke. There was no dramatic reaction, no rush of questions. Only an unusual stillness. Sometimes silence is not emptiness, it is the sound of people realizing they have just witnessed something real. Your soulmate looked away, almost as if they had finally stopped running from a truth that had been following them for far too long. And in that single moment, the invisible wall they had built around their heart began to disappear. The person sitting across from them noticed it immediately. They leaned forward with genuine curiosity and asked a question so simple that it carried unexpected weight. So, what makes this person different? Your soulmate could have answered with ordinary words. They could have mentioned kindness, intelligence, or shared memories. Instead, they paused. A long pause. One that revealed they weren't searching for an answer, they were searching for the courage to speak it aloud. Finally, they smiled. It isn't one thing, they whispered. It's who I become whenever I think about them. Those words surprised even them. For months, perhaps even longer, they believed the secret was about you. But suddenly they realized it had always been about the version of themselves that only existed because of your presence. Around everyone else, life felt predictable. Around you, something inside them felt awake. They couldn't explain why your name carried peace into difficult days or why remembering you somehow gave ordinary moments a completely different meaning. Stay a little longer, because this realization opened another hidden door. The conversation continued, growing deeper with every passing minute. Questions turned into reflections. Reflections turned into admissions. One by one, the excuses disappeared. I kept telling myself it would fade. It never did. I tried focusing somewhere else. It always led back. I thought time would change everything. It only made the feeling clearer. Every sentence uncovered another layer of the secret they had hidden so carefully. The people listening weren't shocked because your soulmate cared about someone. They were surprised because they had never seen them speak with such honesty before. For the first time, there were no masks. No carefully chosen answers. Just truth. And then something even more unexpected happened. Someone quietly asked, if they stood in front of you today, what would you say? Your soulmate didn't answer immediately. Instead, they closed their eyes for a brief moment, almost as if imagining that exact scene. A gentle smile appeared, not forced, not rehearsed, but completely natural. I wouldn't try to impress them anymore, they said softly. I'd simply thank them, because they changed me without even knowing. The room became quiet once again. Not because anyone was searching for words, but because everyone understood that this was far bigger than a passing emotion. Sometimes the greatest secret isn't hidden in dramatic events. Sometimes it's hidden inside personal growth that another person unknowingly inspires. You might be wondering why this matters. Because this wasn't the end of the revelation. It was only the beginning. The biggest truth still hadn't been spoken. Before we continue, if this story has made you pause and reflect, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Many people discover unexpected meaning by hearing how others interpret moments like these. And if these journeys resonate with you, subscribing simply means you'll be here when the next chapter unfolds. Now listen carefully. Just when everyone believed the mystery had finally been solved, one final question changed the atmosphere completely. What are you still afraid to admit? Your soulmate looked toward the window, took a slow breath, and this time, they didn't answer with words. Their expression alone revealed that the deepest part of the secret had remained untouched. And when that final truth finally surfaced, even the people closest to them realized they had misunderstood the entire story from the very beginning. The next chapter reveals that hidden truth. And once it's spoken, every moment that came before will suddenly make perfect sense. Another layer is about to unfold, but don't rush past this moment, because the final truth was never hidden in words, it was hidden in a decision. A decision your soulmate carried quietly, believing no one would ever understand it. Yet every hidden choice leaves behind a trail, and sooner or later, someone notices where that trail leads. This is where everything shifts. The mystery is no longer about what they felt. It is about what they were willing to sacrifice without ever asking for recognition. Listen carefully, because this final revelation changes the meaning of every moment that came before. The room remained still after the last unanswered question. No one interrupted. No one tried to fill the silence. It felt as though time itself had slowed down, waiting for one honest sentence. Your soulmate finally lifted their head. I wasn't afraid of loving them, they said quietly. I was afraid of becoming someone who wasn't ready for them. Those words settled into every heart that heard them. Suddenly, everything made sense. The distance. The hesitation. The quiet moments. The unexplained pauses. None of them came from a lack of feeling. They came from a desire to become stronger before stepping into a future they believed truly mattered. Many people spend their lives trying to find the right person. Your soulmate had secretly been trying to become the right person. That was the biggest secret. Not hidden because it was shameful. Hidden because it was deeply personal. Every challenge they accepted, every lesson they learned, every habit they changed carried one silent motivation they rarely admitted even to themselves. Somehow. In ways they could never fully explain. You inspired that journey. Stay until the end of this story, because one final realization is waiting. As the conversation continued, someone smiled and asked, "So everything you've been doing was connected to them?" Your soulmate laughed softly, not out of embarrassment, but from relief. "I didn't notice it at first," they admitted. But every important decision slowly started pointing in the same direction. The people around them exchanged quiet glances. For years they had assumed your soulmate was simply focused on personal growth. Now they understood something far deeper. Growth had a reason. Hope had a direction. Dreams had a name. Not because anyone forced those feelings, but because certain connections awaken possibilities we never knew existed. Then another unexpected question appeared. What if they never discover any of this? Your soulmate looked thoughtful. The answer came without hesitation. Then I still become a better version of myself. The room fell silent once again. That response revealed a truth greater than romance. Real transformation never depends on applause. It continues even when nobody sees it. That quiet strength surprised everyone listening. At that moment, one person gently smiled and said, "Maybe that's why this connection has never disappeared. It was never built on chasing. It was built on becoming." Your soulmate nodded. For the first time, there was no need to hide. No need to explain. No need to pretend. The greatest secret had finally been revealed. It was never about possession. It was never about proving anything. It was about choosing growth, honesty, patience, and hope, even when the outcome remained unknown. And somehow, the moment that secret became visible, the weight they had carried for so long quietly disappeared. Perhaps that is the real message hidden inside this story. Sometimes life brings people into our path not to change our destination overnight, but to awaken qualities that were waiting to be discovered all along. Maybe that is why certain names stay with us. Maybe that is why some memories refuse to fade. Not because they hold us back, but because they gently remind us who we are capable of becoming. Before this journey comes to its final chapter, take a quiet moment for yourself. If this story resonated with you, share your thoughts below. Someone reading your words may find encouragement they didn't know they needed. And if these stories continue to inspire your perspective, subscribing is simply a way to be here for the next journey we uncover together. Because the ending is not about discovering someone else's secret. It is about recognizing the quiet strength that has been growing inside you all along. And sometimes, that becomes the most extraordinary revelation of all. One final moment remains, and strangely enough, this is the part no one expected to matter the most. If you've stayed this far, you've already seen the hidden layers unfold one by one. But every meaningful story reaches a point where secrets stop living in the past and begin shaping the future. This is that moment. Listen with an open mind, because the final piece isn't about what was revealed yesterday, it's about what that revelation quietly set into motion. After everything had been spoken, after every hidden emotion had finally found its place, your soulmate walked away from that conversation feeling lighter than they had in years. Nothing around them had physically changed. The same streets. The same sky. The same routine. Yet somehow, everything felt different. Because truth has a remarkable way of changing the person who carries it. For the first time in a very long while, they stopped asking themselves impossible questions. What if I fail? What if I'm misunderstood? What if the timing is wrong? Instead, a new question quietly appeared. What if this honesty is exactly where a new beginning starts? That single thought stayed with them. Days passed. They became calmer. More confident. Not because they suddenly knew every answer, but because they no longer needed to hide from their own heart. Then something unexpected happened. People around them began noticing small changes. You seem happier. You smile more now. You look more peaceful. Your soulmate never explained why. Some truths don't need long speeches. They simply become visible through the way someone lives. And perhaps that's the greatest mystery of all. Real transformation is rarely loud. It quietly changes every ordinary moment until even strangers can sense that something beautiful has shifted inside. Now imagine this. Somewhere, without announcements or dramatic signs, two paths continue moving forward. Each person is growing. Each person is learning. Each person is becoming a little more authentic than yesterday. Whether those paths meet tomorrow, months from now, or at another unexpected chapter of life is something no one can predict. But this much is certain. Growth is never wasted. Hope is never meaningless. Honest hearts are never empty. The biggest secret was never meant to create fear or uncertainty. It was meant to reveal that genuine connections inspire people to become their highest selves. That alone changes everything. Before this story comes to its final goodbye, I'd love to hear your perspective. If one line stayed with you, share it in the comments. Someone else may read your words at exactly the moment they need them. And if these cinematic journeys of mystery, growth, and quiet destiny continue to resonate with you, subscribing is simply a way to join us for the next unfolding story. Now take one final breath. The headline that began this journey, breaking. Your soulmate's biggest secret about you was finally revealed, was never really about exposing a hidden confession. It was about uncovering a quiet truth. That the strongest connections are not built through perfect timing. They are built through personal growth. Through patience. Through courage. Through becoming someone who can recognize truth when it finally arrives. So as this chapter closes, don't leave with questions. Leave with possibility. Because every meaningful ending carries the seed of a remarkable beginning. And perhaps, somewhere beyond today's story, another chapter is already waiting. One that neither you nor your soulmate could have imagined. Until now. The story may be ending, but one final message has been waiting for this exact moment. If you've walked through every chapter, don't leave just yet. Sometimes the greatest revelation isn't found in the middle of the journey. It waits quietly at the very end, where everything suddenly connects. This isn't another secret. This is the meaning behind every secret you've heard today. Imagine standing on a hill just before sunrise. The sky is still dark enough to make you wonder if morning will ever come. But far beyond the horizon, light is already on its way. You simply cannot see all of it yet. Life often works the same way. There are seasons when nothing seems to move. No answers. No clear direction. No obvious signs. Yet beneath the surface, countless invisible pieces are finding their place. That is why this story was never meant to convince you that every mystery has an immediate explanation. It was meant to remind you that not every meaningful chapter reveals itself all at once. Some truths arrive gradually. Some answers become visible only after you've become ready to understand them. And perhaps that is exactly where your greatest strength has been growing all along. Think back to the beginning of this journey. The headline promised that your soulmate's biggest secret about you had finally been revealed. Now you know what that secret truly represented. It wasn't built on dramatic words. It wasn't created by grand gestures. It was hidden inside quiet transformation. Inside silent respect. Inside the realization that one meaningful connection can inspire someone to become kinder, wiser, calmer, and more authentic than they ever believed possible. That kind of secret cannot stay hidden forever. Because genuine growth eventually shines through everything a person does. Maybe that's why life sometimes asks us to trust the process before we understand the outcome. Maybe that's why certain people enter our lives. Not to complete us, but to awaken parts of ourselves that were waiting patiently to be discovered. And perhaps that awakening is the real miracle. Take a quiet moment now. Think about how many times you've underestimated your own journey simply because you couldn't yet see where it was leading. Every challenge taught resilience. Every unanswered question built patience. Every uncertain season strengthened your ability to keep moving forward. Nothing meaningful was wasted. Every ending leaves behind one final echo, and this is that echo. If you've stayed with this journey from the very beginning, then you already know this was never simply a story about two people. It became a story about truth, quiet courage, and the unexpected ways life prepares us for the chapters we cannot yet see. So before this narration fades into silence, allow these last words to stay with you. The greatest revelations rarely arrive with flashing lights. They arrive in ordinary moments. A quiet conversation. A thoughtful decision. A peaceful heart. A new perspective. Long after the voices disappeared and the room had emptied, your soulmate found themselves thinking about one final realization. They no longer wondered whether their secret had been revealed. Instead, they wondered why they had waited so long to accept it themselves. Sometimes the longest journey we ever take is the distance between denial and acceptance. Once that distance is crossed, everything begins to feel lighter. That is exactly what happened. The fear that once whispered, "What if this changes everything?" slowly transformed into a much calmer thought. Maybe everything was supposed to change. And perhaps that is true for every meaningful chapter in life. Growth asks us to release yesterday's uncertainty so tomorrow has room to arrive. As the days continued, your soulmate noticed something unexpected. Life no longer felt like something to chase. It felt like something to appreciate. Every sunrise carried possibility. Every conversation carried purpose. Every challenge carried another opportunity to become wiser than before. The biggest secret had already fulfilled its purpose. Not by creating drama, but by creating clarity. And clarity has a quiet kind of power. It allows people to stop searching outside themselves for answers they have been carrying within all along. Now, as you listen to these final moments, remember this. Your own story is still being written. Every choice you make today becomes part of tomorrow's memories. Every act of kindness leaves a mark. Every lesson shapes the person you are becoming. Never underestimate the invisible progress taking place inside you. Some of the most important transformations happen long before anyone else can see them. Perhaps someone, somewhere, is already inspired by your strength without ever telling you. Perhaps your quiet resilience has encouraged another heart to keep moving forward. Perhaps the kindness you offered on an ordinary day became someone's reason to believe again. We rarely see the full impact of the lives we touch. But that doesn't mean the impact isn't real. That may be the most beautiful truth of all. If this journey has brought even one meaningful thought into your day, I'd love to hear what stayed with you the most. Share it in the comments, because your reflection might become the exact encouragement another viewer has been searching for. And if stories like this continue to inspire you with mystery, hope, and thoughtful perspective, subscribing simply means we'll continue exploring these journeys together. As this final chapter closes, don't walk away searching for certainty. Walk away carrying possibility. Walk away believing that honest hearts, patient growth, and quiet courage always leave a lasting mark. Because the headline that began this journey was never only about your soulmate's biggest secret. It was also about yours. The quiet strength you didn't realize you possessed. The hope you continued carrying even through uncertainty. The future that has been unfolding one unseen step at a time. And maybe, years from now, you won't remember every sentence from this story. But you'll remember how it reminded you to trust your own journey. To keep growing. To keep believing. And to understand that the most meaningful discoveries are never about becoming someone else. They are about becoming the truest version of yourself. Until our paths cross again in another story. Take care of your dreams. Protect your peace. Stay open to new beginnings. And never forget. Some secrets are revealed not to change your past, but to illuminate your future. One last reflection remains. Not because the story is incomplete, but because every meaningful journey deserves an ending that stays with you long after the screen goes dark. If you've reached this final chapter, then you've done more than simply listen. You've walked through every hidden layer, every quiet revelation, and every turning point. Now, for just a few more moments, imagine that the story is no longer about someone else. Imagine that it is about you. What if the greatest secret wasn't hidden inside another person's heart? What if it had been growing inside yours all along? There are moments in life that seem ordinary while we're living them. A conversation. A coincidence. A memory that refuses to disappear. A feeling that quietly returns no matter how many times we try to ignore it. Only later do we realize those moments were preparing us for something greater. Your soulmate's journey was never simply about discovering how they felt. It became a reminder that truth has extraordinary patience. It waits. It grows. It quietly reshapes the future one small choice at a time. Perhaps that is why this story unfolded exactly as it did. Not to predict tomorrow. Not to promise impossible outcomes. But to remind every listener that genuine connections begin with authenticity, understanding, and personal growth. Nothing meaningful is ever rushed. The strongest foundations are built slowly. The brightest mornings begin long before the sun becomes visible. And the most remarkable chapters often start in complete silence. Take a moment now and think about your own journey. How many obstacles have you already overcome? How many lessons once felt impossible until they eventually became part of your strength? How many moments of uncertainty quietly transformed into wisdom? Those experiences did not happen by accident. They shaped the person you are today. Every challenge added resilience. Every disappointment revealed courage. Every new beginning proved that hope always finds another way forward. That is the quiet message hidden beneath today's story. Never measure your future by your current circumstances. Measure it by the person you are becoming. Because growth creates possibilities that fear can never imagine. And perhaps, somewhere beyond today's horizon, another extraordinary chapter is already waiting to meet the version of you that continues choosing kindness, patience, confidence, and hope. If one thought from this journey stayed with you, let it become part of your own story. Share it in the comments so others can read it and discover a little encouragement for themselves. And if these cinematic journeys of mystery, reflection, and inspiration have become a meaningful part of your day, subscribing simply means you'll be here when our next story begins. As the final words fade away, remember this. Life is not asking you to know every answer. It is asking you to keep moving forward with an open heart. Some doors open through effort. Some through timing. And some simply because you've grown into the person who is finally ready to walk through them. So leave this story not with unanswered questions, but with renewed confidence. Leave knowing that every quiet step you take today is preparing you for tomorrow's opportunities. Leave believing that the greatest transformations are often invisible until the very moment they change everything. And above all, never forget this simple truth. The biggest secret was never that someone saw something special in you. The biggest secret was that your own light had been shining all along. Waiting for the right moment. For the right perspective. And for you to finally recognize it. Until we meet again in another unforgettable journey. Keep your heart open. Keep your spirit strong. Keep writing your story with courage. Because the next chapter of your life has not been written yet. And that is the most exciting mystery of all. Every journey reaches a final horizon, and this is ours. If these words have stayed with you until now, then something inside this story has already found a place within your own. Not because every detail reflects real events, but because every heart understands what it means to search for clarity, to hope for connection, and to keep moving forward even when the path isn't fully visible. Before this narration becomes a memory, there is one final thought I want to leave with you. Imagine opening an old journal many years from today. You begin turning the pages. Some chapters make you smile. Some remind you how much you've grown. Some reveal challenges you once believed would never end. And then you realize something extraordinary. None of those moments defeated you. Every chapter, even the uncertain ones, quietly prepared you for the person you eventually became. Perhaps that is exactly what this story has been trying to say from the very beginning. Your soulmate's biggest secret was never meant to become a mystery that trapped your attention forever. It became a mirror. A reminder that every meaningful connection has the power to inspire growth, courage, compassion, and self-discovery. Sometimes people enter our lives for a season. Sometimes for many chapters. And sometimes they simply awaken something beautiful within us that remains long after the moment has passed. That awakening is never wasted. It becomes part of who we are. As you continue writing your own story, remember this. Choose peace when life becomes noisy. Choose patience when answers take time. Choose kindness even when nobody is watching. Choose hope even when the next chapter hasn't yet appeared. Those quiet choices shape a future stronger than any fear ever could. One day, you'll look back and realize that what once felt uncertain was actually guiding you toward wisdom. What once felt delayed was quietly teaching resilience. And what once seemed like an ending was preparing the perfect beginning. That's how meaningful journeys often unfold. Not all at once. But one honest step at a time. If this entire series brought a moment of reflection, a spark of encouragement, or simply gave you a few peaceful minutes in your day, thank you for sharing this journey with me. Your thoughts are always welcome in the comments. They may become the encouragement someone else has been hoping to find. And if these stories of mystery, growth, and possibility continue to inspire you, subscribing is simply a way to continue exploring future journeys together. Now, as the screen begins to fade, take with you not the mystery, but the message. Take with you not the questions, but the courage to keep searching. Take with you not the secret, but the quiet confidence that your own story is still unfolding in remarkable ways. Because every sunrise carries another opportunity. Every new day offers another beginning. Every hopeful heart holds more strength than it often realizes. And somewhere beyond today's horizon, a brand new chapter is already waiting. Not because fate demands it. Not because destiny guarantees it. But because every person who keeps learning, growing, and moving forward creates new possibilities with every choice they make. So walk into tomorrow with confidence. Protect your peace. Treasure genuine connections. Celebrate your growth. And never stop believing that your best chapters are still ahead. Until our next story. Thank you for being part of this journey. Take care of yourself. Keep your light shining. And remember, the most extraordinary revelation was never hidden in someone else's heart. It was the quiet realization that your future is shaped not by secrets, but by the choices you make, the hope you carry, and the person you continue becoming. This story ends here. But your greatest chapter is only just beginning.